What happens when the people you rely on don't care if you win or lose? In the early 1500s, Italy was a battlefield of ambition, betrayal, and shifting power. One mistake echoed across the ruins of fallen republics. They trusted the wrong men to fight for them. Machiavelli watched as proud city-states hired mercenary soldiers who fought not for loyalty or love of country, but for money. These men had no stake in victory, no skin in the game, and when the battle turned ugly, they vanished. Machiavelli wasn't writing fiction. He was documenting collapse. Over and over, leaders outsourced their survival to men who had nothing to lose. The result: cowardice, defeat, humiliation. Florence, Milan, even the Papal States all suffered from this one fatal flaw. They trusted those who weren't truly theirs. So what did Machiavelli learn? Power isn't something you rent. It's something you build with people who share your purpose, who rise and fall with you. He urged rulers to create their own armies, not rely on the loyalty of strangers. He believed that if someone isn't bound to your success, they will disappear the moment it's inconvenient. And that lesson still applies today, whether you're leading a company, building a team, or trusting someone with your future. If they're only with you for the paycheck, the title, or the moment, it's only a matter of time before they turn. Because in the end, loyalty cannot be bought. It must be forged. Can you ever become great without copying greatness? History doesn't repeat, but it does leave clues. When Niccolò Machiavelli studied the rise and fall of kings, emperors, and generals, he noticed something striking. The most effective leaders didn't always invent new paths, they followed old ones. They studied the steps of those who came before them. They imitated not blindly, but deliberately. Machiavelli believed that greatness leaves a shadow. And if you walk close enough to it, you can learn how the powerful moved, how they calculated, how they ruled. He urged every new prince to observe past masters, not to worship them, but to decode them. What made Caesar admired? What made Alexander feared? What made Ferdinand of Aragon unstoppable? But imitation alone isn't enough. The world changes. Circumstances shift. That's why Machiavelli warns at some point you must break away. When the path runs out, you must lead yourself. It's a powerful balance. Learn deeply, follow wisely. But don't get stuck in someone else's shadow. Eventually you have to step into your own. And this applies far beyond the throne. In your career, in business, in art, in life, you can study the greats. Model their habits, mirror their discipline. But when the moment comes to act, you must decide. Because no matter how brilliant your mentor, they've never faced your moment. Only you have. And that's where true greatness begins, not in copying history, but in extending it. How many times have we helped someone only to watch them rise and use our own strength against us? That's exactly what Machiavelli witnessed in the brutal political games of Renaissance Italy. He saw kings who, in trying to strengthen their position, gave power to the wrong allies, and he watched as those allies became their enemies. The King of France once believed he could control the Pope by siding with him against other Italian states. But the moment he gave the Church more influence, the Pope used that power to expand his own domain, crushing weaker regions and elevating himself above the king. France didn't just lose control, it created a rival far more dangerous than the ones it was fighting. Machiavelli's warning is clear: do not make others stronger than you, especially when their loyalty is not guaranteed. A favor today becomes a threat tomorrow. Empowering someone without foresight is like handing them the sword they'll later use to cut you down. And it's not just politics, it's business, relationships, life. When you elevate someone who doesn't need you, who doesn't respect you, who's secretly competing with you, you're writing your own downfall. Support those who support your structure, not those who want to replace it. Help those who remain beneath your authority, not those who quietly resent it. Because once someone has power, they no longer need to pretend. And by then it's too late. If you want to last in a world of ambition, never confuse a temporary alliance with true loyalty. And above all, never hand a crown to someone who's waiting for you to trip. What happens when you take control, but erase everything people once knew. Throughout history, conquerors have made the same mistake. They take new territory and then try to reshape it in their own image. They rewrite laws, change customs, replace leaders, and expect loyalty in return. But what they get is rebellion. Machiavelli saw it happen again and again in Renaissance Italy. New rulers would sweep in with power but no understanding. They tried to impose foreign systems, foreign taxes, and foreign values, only to find themselves hated, feared, and overthrown. Power without wisdom, he argued, is temporary. That's why Machiavelli advises, when you take over, don't change too much. People are more loyal to familiarity than to authority. If you let them keep their traditions, their local laws, their ways of life, they're more likely to accept your rule. If you must change something, do it slowly, strategically, and always let them feel like they still have a voice. Even better, let them keep a local government, but one that answers to you. It gives the illusion of independence while keeping true power in your hands. This lesson goes far beyond kings and kingdoms, in leadership, business, or social influence. When you step into someone else's world, respect what already exists. Don't destroy what people value. Work with it. Shape it gradually. Win their trust before you demand their obedience. Because the fastest way to create resistance is to erase someone's identity, and the smartest way to keep power is to let people feel like they never lost it. What's more dangerous, having power with no opportunity or opportunity with no power? Machiavelli would say both are fatal. In his study of rulers, he saw a recurring tragedy, leaders blessed with potential but paralyzed by inaction, or gifted a rare moment but lacking the strength to seize it. Either way, the result was the same collapse. A door opened but no one walked through. A throne was claimed but no one knew how to keep it. Machiavelli believed success demands more than just luck. Fortune is fleeting. A storm can clear your path, but it can also sweep you away. That's why he warned, never depend on chance. Build power that doesn't vanish when the winds shift. True leaders don't wait for perfect conditions, they prepare for them. They sharpen their tools in the dark, so when opportunity knocks, they're already at the door. And when fortune favors them, they're ready to act decisively, ruthlessly, without hesitation. Because fortune favors the bold, but it abandons the unprepared. This principle lives far beyond politics. In business, in relationships, in life, you can't afford to sit still, hoping for a break. You must develop skills, networks, resilience, quietly building your fortress. So when the moment comes, you don't fumble it. Power without timing is wasted. Timing without strength is missed. But when the two align, when power and opportunity meet, you don't just survive, you conquer. What if being good is exactly what gets you destroyed? We're taught to be kind, to be honest, to be just. But Machiavelli looked at the world not through the lens of morality, but through the scars of history. And what he saw was brutal. Time and again, men who clung to virtue over realism were crushed by those who understood how the world truly works. Machiavelli's advice was unapologetic: stop living in how things ought to be and start dealing with how they are. Because the man who tries to fix a corrupt system with goodness alone will be eaten alive by those who wield power without restraint. He wasn't saying abandon all values. He was saying don't mistake idealism for strategy. Don't assume people will act justly because you do. Don't expect fairness in a world built on ambition, fear, and desire. And never show your principles unless you also hold the sword to defend them. If you must reform, Machiavelli wrote, do it with strength. Armed prophets succeed. Unarmed prophets are forgotten, or worse, executed. The modern world is no different. Being nice won't protect you in a boardroom full of sharks. Being morally pure won't save you in politics, power games, or manipulation. If you want to survive, you must first see the world clearly, not as a dream, but as a battlefield. Because the truth is hard. The world doesn't reward the good, it rewards the effective. And those who understand that, they rise. Who should you fear more, the powerful few who want to control you, or the silent many who can rise against you? Machiavelli watched rulers fall not just because of war or miscalculation, but because they misunderstood the nature of power. He drew a sharp distinction between two forces in any society: the nobles and the people. The nobles seek influence. They manipulate from behind the curtain. They want more, always more, and they will betray you the moment you threaten their interests. The people, they want something simpler, not to be oppressed. They don't crave your throne. They don't plot in shadows. But if you push them too far, if you ignore their pain, raise their taxes, or crush their voices, they will turn. And when they do, they don't whisper. They revolt. Machiavelli's advice is clear if you must choose side with the people. Because if the people hate you, the nobles will have no trouble removing you. But if the people love you, they become your shield, making it far harder for the nobles to move against you without backlash. This dynamic holds true beyond kingdoms. In business, in politics, in leadership, the elite may flatter you, but the crowd will determine your fate. A company that pleases shareholders but ignores its customers will rot from within. A leader who serves the elite and forgets the workers will fall the moment trust crumbles. Power isn't just built from above, it rises or collapses from below. And in the end, it's not the nobles who carry your legacy. It's the people who will bury it or raise it up. Would you rather look good or actually win? Machiavelli believed the most dangerous mistake a leader can make is to confuse appearance with reality. The world doesn't reward those who are good, it rewards those who appear to be. And in a world built on perception, your image is a weapon. He advised rulers to look like saints, but act like strategists. Be seen as merciful, honest, humble, devout. Smile in public, speak with grace, inspire trust. But when the moment comes when your survival is at stake, you must be willing to act in complete opposition to those values. Because the world is not fair, and virtue without power is weakness. Machiavelli warned that those who cling too tightly to goodness will be devoured by those who fake it better. The prince who tries too hard to be righteous will look indecisive, fragile, and unfit to lead. And once you look weak, you are weak. But he never said to abandon morality, only to master the art of using it strategically. Let the people see generosity while you calculate behind closed doors. Let them hear words of peace while you quietly prepare for war. It's not hypocrisy, it's survival. In the modern world, this plays out in boardrooms, campaigns, relationships. You don't have to be ruthless all the time, but you must be willing to be. Kindness is a tool, so is silence, so is fear. Because leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about being effective while never letting them see your shadow. If you had to choose, would you rather be loved or feared? Machiavelli didn't hesitate. He chose fear, not because love isn't valuable, but because it's fragile, conditional, fickle. People love you until you disappoint them, until someone else offers them more. But fear roots itself deeper. It commands restraint even when respect disappears. It holds back betrayal even in silence. Machiavelli understood human nature, its selfishness, its volatility. He warned that a leader who seeks only to be loved may hesitate to discipline, to punish, to act decisively. That hesitation can be fatal. Rivals don't care about your kindness. They care about your strength. But being feared doesn't mean being hated. That distinction is everything. A ruler must avoid cruelty that feels random, prolonged, or personal. When action must be harsh, it must also be fast, final, and purposeful. If you must harm, Machiavelli wrote, do it all at once. Do not draw it out, because violence spread over time breeds resentment. But violence done swiftly with clarity and control creates order and fear that lingers just enough to prevent rebellion. This lesson echoes in every form of leadership. In business, in politics, in war, even in personal relationships. If you bend too much to be liked, you lose authority. But if you carry presence, consequence, and command, you don't need to raise your voice. People will feel your boundaries without being told. Yes, love is ideal, but fear is reliable. And when the world tests your strength, it won't ask how kind you were. It will ask how far others dared to go before they stopped. Is it more humane to hurt someone slowly or just once all at once? Machiavelli's answer is cold but brutally honest. Oh, rip the bandage off, fast, decisively, without delay. He understood a dark truth about human psychology. People don't fear cruelty as much as they fear uncertainty. When pain is sudden, it creates shock, but it also creates clarity. When pain is stretched out over time, it creates something far worse: resentment, paranoia, hatred. If you must commit a harsh act, whether it's eliminating enemies, enforcing unpopular decisions, or disciplining a group, do it in one calculated stroke. The damage will sting, but people will adjust. They will rebuild. And over time, they may even forgive. But if you drag cruelty out, one punishment today, another next week, then another later, you build a culture of fear and anxiety. Every new action reopens old wounds. People no longer see strength. They see tyranny. Machiavelli wrote that cruelty, when used well, can serve a ruler, but only if it's swift and final. Prolonged cruelty weakens power rather than reinforcing it. It invites rebellion instead of obedience. This isn't just about kings and armies. In leadership, business, or personal boundaries, be firm and clear from the beginning. Set the tone early. Take the necessary actions all at once, and then let people recover. Because power that wounds once may be respected, but power that wounds constantly will eventually be destroyed. Sometimes the kindest thing a ruler can do is finish the cruelty quickly, and then never return to it again. In a world driven by perception, power isn't about being good, it's about being clear, strategic, and unshakable. Machiavelli's lessons aren't calls to cruelty, they're reminders that survival demands realism. Whether you're leading a team, navigating relationships, or building your career, you'll face moments where morality and results don't align. The truth: kindness without strength invites exploitation. Trust without testing invites betrayal, and virtue without boundaries leads to collapse. The key is balance. Show respect, but don't fear conflict. Look generous, but protect your leverage. Speak softly, but only when silence serves no purpose. People don't follow perfection. They follow consistency, presence, and control. In modern life, this means learning to say no without guilt. Setting expectations early, acting decisively when necessary, and never empowering those who wouldn't hesitate to replace you. Because no matter how advanced the world becomes, one thing hasn't changed: if you don't understand power, someone else will use it against you.